Hey guys, what's up? It's me, Cam Z, and that's the Cam Z guarantee. Anyways, new Mouth Monster book, The Trap. Stick tight because this one's a thick one. Let me count the pages. I'm not gonna count the cover. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 pages, not counting the cover. So I was pretty close last time I made an estimate. You're welcome. Here is what it looks like. Let's take the paper clip out that I used to hold it together. The Trap. You can see them all destroying the Statue of Liberty in New York City. I actually have never been to New York City, so I don't know why I made the books take place in New York City. I've never been there. I might have been there once. I haven't been to New York City before. I haven't even been to New York, the state. Okay. Chapter 1. One day, Mouth Monster, Foot Monster, Brain Monster's Face, Slid, Blade, Cloud, Mouth Monster Jr., Blade's helper, and the Mini Clouds were planning an attack on New York City in the Monster Base on Monster Island. The Monster Base has a flat roof covered with spikes on the sides of the building. Each had 3 large tentacles coming out. There's a large door at the entrance to fit, big enough to fit in even the largest of monsters. They had everything planned. They were going to drop some sleeping gas in the city, making the citizens fall asleep, rendering them helpless and unable to call the police. Every monster would tackle the New York superhero, and Mouth Monster would finally destroy the Statue of Liberty. However, they realized that there was a small earthquake overnight. The bridge connecting Monster Island and New York City was not safe for the monsters, since they were way too heavy. A couple of hours later, the Mouth Monster rang a giant bell to call Siki. She made a temporary bridge using water to go to New York City. The only reason she helped was because the Mouth Monster gave her the ocean around Monster Island. Now she is a strong ally of the Mouth Monster. But when they crossed the water bridge, when they crossed the water bridge and they got there, the force field went back up. Luckily for them, they've dealt with the force field before. They knew exactly what to do. I'm pretty sure I made a whole book about the force field actually. To turn it off. There was a building in the city with a basement that led to the power core. So now the only other way in was going underground. Mouth Monster said, "Hey Slid, dig a path to the power core room for the rest of us so we can destroy it to the power core." Slid dug, with the monsters following him until he ran into bedrock. "Looks like they reinforced the power core room," said Mouth Monster. Mouth Monster had Slid dig all around to see if there was a spot, and they forgot to cover with bedrock. But after making it look like a giant egg with all the dirt going around it, then with all the dirt around, removed the ground. The ground collapsed on itself. The area. Slid was able to dig everyone out, luckily. Chapter 2. There was a small abandoned building. Half of it was leaning halfway off the edge of the small gap in the ground. The building collapsed into the hole and broke the bedrock and collapsed on the power core, which made the force field disappear. But all the noise and destruction alerted the New York superhero. And when he turned around, he saw the giant hole in the ground, the force field disabled, and Mouth Monster and the other monsters. Then New York City superhero started flying towards the monsters. Then he said, "Get out of New York City or else." "Or else what?" said Mouth Monster. Then New York City superhero gave them a book. Then Mouth Monster read the title out. "Monster Guide, How to Defeat and Predict the Monsters of Monster Island" by New York superhero. Then everybody stuck their head out their windows with toenail clippers. Foot Monster screamed so loud that all the glass in the city and on Monster Island got shattered, and Foot Monster hopped back to Monster Island while New York superhero was just standing there, smiling. And then he thought to himself, 1 monster down, 8 more to go. New York superhero grabbed a hose and sprayed the Cloud and the mini clouds. Luckily, he didn't hit them, but they did get scared away, so the rest of the monsters retreated back to Monster Island, the base on Monster Island. The mouth monster told them all, "Okay, I know the old plan didn't work, but I have a new plan. We need to destroy all those books, and we need to destroy the place making all the books, and then we do the original plan. Let's do this." Oh yeah, okay, we can win. Let's get those books, shouted the monster. Okay, love the enthusiasm. But first we need to find the where New York superhero is making those books, said Mouth Monster. Brain Monster replied, "I think he makes and prints them at his house." "But where's his house?" the Mouth Monster said aggressively. A Mouth Monster aggressively asked, puzzled. I should have said confuzzled. "I think I know where it is," said Brain Monster. "Isn't his house the place that has a bunch of people outside of it all the time, all day long?" said Foot Monster. Then Mouth Monster pulled out a giant oxygen tank filled with sleeping gas. Mouth Monster had Blade and Cloud take the sleeping gas high above New York City, and then they dropped it. But then New York superhero noticed that high above New York City, and then they dropped it. But then New York superhero noticed, but he was too late. The sleeping gas put everyone to sleep, except New York superhero. He was flying, so Mouth Monster sent all the monsters except Cloud to tackle the New York superhero, and Mouth Monster sent Cloud to each house grabbing the books. You see, Mouth Monster sent Cloud to get the books because Cloud is quiet and can phase through windows. And because Cloud is the worst fighter, he's more of a healer because he can heal, make force fields, and make people faster and stronger. And he can revive the dead back to their normal selves, not zombies. Keep that in mind. So after Cloud got all the books, he brought them to the Mouth Monster base because they might come in handy later, Cloud thought. But now Mouth Monster needed to get rid of the source. So he went into New York superhero's house and destroyed the original copy and ate it, along with the other book copies that were there and the copier machine. Then the Mouth Monster heard Blade said, "We need a backup. We need backup." He started to struggle hard, though, an earpiece. They all had to communicate. Then luckily Siki had her earpiece and joined them. Chapter 4. Halfway to go. Halfway, I think. I hope. New York superhero started to fly over to the Mouth Monster, and a dude from the ground said, "I fixed the force field." Since all the sleeping gas wore off, Zeke emerged from the ocean, blasted a bunch of hot salt water at New York superhero. The water instantly went through the force field and hit the New York superhero and blasted him across the city. He hit the force field, which zapped him, and he fell out of the sky and was knocked out. When New York superhero woke up, he couldn't fly. Without his flying ability, he had just fallen out of the sky and couldn't save himself. He was just zapped, so the New York superhero tried to shoot his laser, and it worked, so he's only missing his flying ability. He looked at the Statue of Liberty and saw shaking. He saw each monster taking turns hitting it like a piñata, except the piñata was getting attacked by monsters with powers. Then he began thinking, how do I get back to the scene? He realized he could shoot a laser on the ground next to him and create a small shockwave that would move him around, and his super strength would help him be unharmed when he landed. In 10 minutes, when New York superhero finally got back to the battle, he saw Mouth Monster shoot a ball of plasma at the Statue of Liberty. And then it fell into the ocean. Pieces of the statue shattered, and broke into tiny pieces and fell into the ocean. "No!" yelled New York superhero. "Yes! Finally! I finally did it! I destroyed the Statue of Liberty!" Then, suddenly, they saw another Statue of Liberty in the distance, and then pieces of the statue that got destroyed and faded away. Wait, what's happening? Wait, what's that? Mouth Monster said while confused. Look out! Yelled Mouth Monster as a laser shot out of the sky where the broken statue was. Then the laser created a massive shockwave. Once it hit the ground, everyone got knocked back 100 feet, and they saw Shapey above where the laser was. It's always Shapey, guys. You can never trust Shapey. Don't trust him. Shot from his UFO. Stop this now, brother! Yelled Mouth Monster. Then Shapey landed and said, Get them. He said, Get them. So silently that no one heard him. Suddenly, a bunch of small explosive UFOs were charging at them. Mouth Monster had Mini Cloud shoot 3 lasers, and the New York superhero started shooting his laser. Were destroyed. The Remote Ghost and Video Game Ghost, yeah, they're still characters. Ghost came and started to try to huddle them up so they could zap them in one shot. Siki shot some water at the Video Game Ghost. Then both the ghosts retreated, and then Shapey yelled angrily, Get back here, you two! Then Shapey shot a laser at the ground, which caused a lot of smoke, and a small crater, which then Shapey appeared behind them. Luckily, Siki saw him and shot some hot water at him. He fell into the ocean, and then another UFO floated above the ocean and picked Shapey up in the UFO. Then Shapey tried to escape to space. Shapey. Chapter 5. Shoot down that UFO! Don't let him escape! Shouted Mouth Monster. Then, just as Shapey was about to escape, Slud shot some acid at the bottom of the UFO. The UFO crashed, and Shapey got out of it. Suddenly, Shapey shape-shifted into Mouth Monster, but no one saw Shapey shape-shift because they were all looking at the real Statue of Liberty in the distance. When New York superhero turned around, he saw 2 Mouth Monsters. It's him! Trust me! Said both Mouth Monsters. Then New York superhero said, I don't know which one is real. Oh, I know. I'll give them a quiz, said Mouth Monster. How did Brain Monster meet the Mouth Monster? Asked New York superhero. Then both the monsters said, his planet blew up and he barely escaped and then lived in an abandoned mall until Mouth Monster found him. The only reason Shapey knew this was because he blew up Brain's planet and then spied on him until he met up with Mouth Monster. Well, I wouldn't say spy. I changed that in the future book, so pretend I didn't say that. Where is it? Until he met up with Mouth Monster. Then before the New York superhero said the next correction, Shapey shape-shifted back to his normal form because of the stress of getting it wrong. So Shapey looked up in the sky and yelled, Take tu fu iwa emok crip im pu o fu. Okay, that was actually I wrote it backwards. That's how you pronounce it if you're talking backwards. This is what it actually is, but I made all the words backwards, so you wouldn't know if I didn't tell you. Get me out of here. Come pick me up, UFO. Okay. Mouth Monster couldn't understand anything Shapey was saying. And then before he knew it, a UFO appeared above Shapey, and then it sucked him up. Just as they heard Shapey yell, Bye, New York City, ha 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 ha. Just as Siki shot a bunch of water at the UFO. Then the UFO started going in random directions and disappeared from sight. So the New York superhero hacked into the UFO's cameras, and they saw the ship land on a planet with a gray ground. But then New York superhero kicked all the monsters out of New York City and back to Monster Island. The end. Okay, that could be the moon or it could be another planet. I don't know. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed The Trap. This video is probably 10 minutes long, probably longer. How long is it? Oh, wow, that's long. For a Mouth Monster book, that is. But you know, good entertainment doesn't have time. So make sure to like and subscribe if you like this video. And I'll see you guys next time with another Mouth Monster with another amazing Mouth Monster story.